Wanting to invest in new ideas.
I'd like everyone to stand up, please. Now, if you have caught a fish in one of Warrnambool's rivers recently, could you please sit down? If you watched a whale in Warrnambool. Yeah, well, that's a popular activity. If you've enjoyed some bird song from our local bird species, maybe a walk in a park listening to the birds. Eaten veggies from your garden, turned on a tap, breathed air. Okay. If you're sitting down, you have benefited from the environment. The environment underpins people, place and the economy. So therefore, the environment must be at the centre of all our decisions. So that was the basis from which we started our priorities. Now I'll hand over to these two. John?
So our priorities for environment, our first one was a leading regional city, innovative, smart solutions. Now, John, you're now the mayor in 2040. What's going on? What's it like?
Well, I'd like to say how pleased I was to be re-elected for a record 10th time. And even though I'm now 110, I attribute my long and healthy life to the wonderful city and its environment. But look, I think we've done extremely well as a regional city, and this was reinforced by our Prime Minister's Award as the most sustainable and innovative city in the country last year.
Very, very good. Right, priority number 2, to enjoy, love and respect its natural environment. What's that like?
Well, look, I think the change in attitude across the city has been remarkable. The education programs we've put into our high schools and our primary schools, along with the university courses featuring the environment and agricultural economics, has been one of the great savers for the city.
Okay, our third priority, green Warrnambool. Is Warrnambool more green now?
Well, look, I've just got my Apple Watch here, and I'll just, if I call this up, can you all see the holographic image of the city from the air? I mean, this was got by a drone. It's circling above us now at 3,000 metres, but you can see those green corridors streaking across the urban area. Can you all see that very clearly? And you'll notice the wonderful diversity of birds. If I just get the drone to come down a bit, we'll zoom in. Can you see those native birds? Some of those species haven't been seen here for decades.
That's very good. Priority number 4, we will adapt to the impacts of climate change. So, are we tackling it? Are we still alive?
Well, look, thank heavens for Tony Abbott's grandson. I mean, he came down here as an environmental engineer and gave the city some wonderful advice about the adaptation strategies the city needed to put in place. We've been able to relocate some sensitive buildings, retain our beautiful ocean beaches, because our community was on the front foot with this and took the necessary steps early on.
Great. Priority number 5, zero net emissions. Now that's a big job.
It is a big job, but fortunately through some wonderful community energy projects, we've established those solar farms just out near Mortlake, and those 2 wind turbines which were funded by the community that sit out near Allensford. And in fact, it's really been a wonderful way we've been able to supply energy in a green way. But in addition, the city's really stepped up to the task with some innovative, low energy design housing, and we've been able to reduce our car emissions because of our wonderful integrated transporter system, and so we've met that target.
Brilliant. Priority number 6, waste not. Waste. Have we tackled it? Is it all gone?
What is waste? I don't remember. Oh, I remember reading about it once. That's right. That's where people used to take useful material and just throw it away, didn't they?
Yeah,
Well,
we did
anyway,
that.
thank heavens for our community sharing projects, our wonderful recycling, our food share projects. We're actually a very low waste production community now.
Well, Warrnambool sounds like a fabulous place to live, don't you think?
It is, and I read in the history books that it was pretty good back earlier on, but I think we've managed to hold all those wonderful values and keep our city as the most sustainable and livable city in the country.
That's wonderful. Radio. Oh, that was way louder than intended, sorry. Do we have a seventh one?
We did have a seventh one about water, but it's not there, was it?
No, I don't think it doesn't appear to be.
We had a priority 7, which was that water would be conserved and used wisely in the city. Oh, and it is.
Yeah. Radio, though, that's all of our priorities for 2040 environment.
Okay, panel, who's got a question? Well, all of you maybe.
Future Mayor, I'm glad I've got
Future
you.
Mayor?
You can answer it. Well, we're still here. You're
I've
where
been
you are.
elected 10 times, weren't you, listening?
Well, in which one of those terms did you introduce green waste collection for your residents?
That was one of my election promises in the first year.
One of the propositions was the environment is core, or you need to get sorted out for health and well-being and also the economy. It was a central tenement. Did the group talk about how it might actually, which is something I believe too, but a lot of people don't. So I was just wondering if the group talked about the sort of things that it might do to actually convince the community more broadly that makes sense.
The short answer is no, we didn't discuss that detail, but certainly we did discuss the issue of public health benefits of environmental works, if you like. So.
Obviously, Warrnambool cannot be a green island in amongst a sea of brown. Therefore, what strategies did you discuss of including or collaborating with the region as a whole in terms of environmental strategy?
Look, I think the sea of brown analogy I probably don't agree with, because we are really fortunately blessed in this region. We are going to be, if you like, the least affected by environmental climate change, I guess, compared to many, many other regions in the area. So I think our farming community will remain prosperous and good, I think, when other regions are suffering. We are currently, and I know this because of my position on the CMA board, the latest Bureau of Agricultural Statistics, I think it was 2015 and 16, put our Glenelg-Hopkins region as the most productive in Australia. So we are, quite rightly, not in a brown region, we are in an incredibly green farming community region, incredibly productive. And the city benefits from that, and you're right, we need to be always conscious of that. We are a rural city and a rural community, and probably do very well because our farmers do very well.
You probably half answered my question. I was just going to ask you, with climate change, how has it affected our rivers, the Hopkins and the Marai?
The projections aren't good. There's a reduction in river flow forecast for most of the region's rivers, so long-term reductions in flow. But I guess the thing you've got to remember is that our climate is so incredibly variable and so incredibly spiky that by 2040, some of those patterns won't be immediately obvious. I think there will still be wet years, there will still be dry years, there will be some extremely wet years probably as that average slowly sinks. Now, how far it's sunk by 2040, I'm not really that confident to judge. Most of the modelling gets more confident by the time you get out to about 2070. You sort of look at the recent models and that.
John, just a question on how the new enclosed harbour has affected the environment in Warrnambool. And as a second one, with the wind farms that were established at Codrington, how are we going with the removal of those?
Well, look, the harbour, a long-held dream of the community, and certainly when I was a younger chap, I was involved in some of the early discussions about what form that should take. And pleasing to say that we took into account sea level rise, we constructed it carefully and well, and it's been an absolute boon to our local economy. The fishermen have loved it. We've managed to do it with minimum environmental impact, and it's been one of our success stories. As far as the wind farm at Codrington goes, I'm not sure why we wanted to pull them down. You might have to refresh my memory on that. Oh, they were past their use by date, thank God. Yeah, I thought you... But yeah, no, look, well, they are easily dismantled, and at Portland, Prince Engineering have been able to reshape them into brand new wind turbines to put around somewhere else.
I was just going to ask you, with your green corridors, how far do they extend then?
Well, one of the great choices the city made in 2017 was to create a green corridor along the Merri River. In its infancy, as a new residential development was established out there, and in fact now we've had to think again of the next corridor, which has circled the edge of the city as it is at 2040 at Mortlake.
On a slightly different tact, and I don't know your name. Meg. G'day, Meg. Why did you choose the environment group, and what's something you learned in the conversations you had today?
Well, I'm very interested in science and climate change, so I guess I wanted to be a part of tackling the issue. What was the other part of your question, sorry?
Something you might have learnt working with the team today about the environment.
Well, I've learned that there are going to be many ways that we can tackle it. Everything is getting bigger and better and greater. I was a little bit scared of how technology, how far it was going, if we would lose a little bit of our humanity and get a bit lazy, but I've kind of been motivated and I realise it's actually going to take us quite far, so I'm very excited.
I have a question around water and what strategies you think might be in place in 2040 to ensure that communities right across the region have sufficient water for day-to-day needs, but at the same time our water resources are more efficiently used and more equitably shared.
I think we're already seeing hints of that already with the rainwater on roof project, collecting rainwater from roof runoff. But I think third pipe programs where we run recycled water out to particularly new developments. I understand at the moment at least it's very expensive to retrofit such systems in established developments, but certainly a third pipe system which uses recycled water. I think just trying to get the message out there about conserving water is incredibly important. I think it's the low-hanging fruit in this sort of debate. You know, there are things we could do. My particular passion is growing Australian native plants. You'll talk to people who have those sort of gardens, they mulch them. They're very low water usage gardens compared to our green lawns and our roses, which again, people love, and I'm not going to be overly critical of them, just a little bit, but we need to rethink the way we live on this dry continent, perhaps as it gets drier. And I think gardening, shade, conservative use of water around the house, in the house, you know, turning the tap off while you're soaping your hands up, and you know, all those sorts of initiatives. But that's an education program we've got to start, and well, we've started, but we've got to continue on with.
Thank you. And thank you to the panel.